You ever notice how life just kind of catches you off guard? It doesn't matter what you thought was going to happen. Something happens that you didn't plan for. I mean, nobody came through New Year's Eve or New Year's Day thinking 2020 would be what 2020 has been. Nobody would have predicted the riots in the streets. Nobody would have predicted the pandemic. Nobody would have predicted some of the unbelievable changes we've seen from education to medicine in less than a year. Nobody would have prepared for that. But preparedness still must be a core value. Welcome to Leading Leaders Podcast. 5-minute videos, 5 days a week. I'm J Loren Norris with Leading Leaders Podcast. Hey, if you think about the old Boy Scout motto, always be prepared. I mean, the Swiss Army knife is always prepared. Everything from a corkscrew to a fishhook remover in one pocket knife. It's scissors and tweezers and a toothpick all in one pocket knife. Why? Because you've got to be prepared for everything. And at some point in your own life, you've got to make the determination that you are the one responsible for the outcome of your own life, and you've got to be prepared for that. Some of the goals that we set for our lives, we set a goal with an ambition to achieve something without asking the question, what are the tasks that will have to be performed along the way to actually make that happen? Some of the things that we decide we want to do, we kind of make the decision that we're going to do them, and then we wait for everybody else to pitch in and help make it happen. Some of the things that we do in life, we do because we don't have a choice, meaning life has hit us broadside and changed the direction of everything. Sometimes taking a part-time job was not in the plan at all. I wasn't prepared to take a part-time job. I wasn't prepared to have to stand in a food line. I wasn't prepared to have to rebuild my house. But after the hurricane came through, I didn't have a choice. I had to do all of those things, right? But see, preparedness means getting yourself ready for whatever may happen in the best way that you can. Maybe it's writing a will just in case there's some tragic disaster and you want to make sure that you know who's going to have your stuff when you die. Great book, by the way, by Lee Hilton, Who Gets Your Stuff When You Die. But the idea of being prepared doesn't always start when calamity happens. It starts way before. And sometimes the most powerful part of preparedness is being ready to admit you don't know everything. Let that settle in for a minute, because that's a mindset that a lot of people have a problem with. A lot of people truly believe, I've got this figured out. I have my plan. I know exactly where I'm going. I know exactly what the roadmap looks like, and nothing's going to change. I think it was Napoleon who said your best battle plan only lasts for about 15 minutes after engagement with the actual enemy. And I think the same is true of a game plan. Whether it's martial arts or it's football or it's soccer or it's baseball, you may have a plan going into it, but you better have a backup plan, a plan B and a plan C and a plan D. Now, there are a lot of people, especially in the world of motivational speakers, who will say, forget your plan B and your plan C, only stick with your plan A. Just go with your plan A no matter what happens. And while that's true in the concept of motivation alone, meaning don't abandon the project because something changed. There are a lot of people, they set out on their narrow way, and then one thing comes across their path, and you would think it was an alligator-sized obstacle, but really there's just a goldfish on the sidewalk. And yet they abandoned the sidewalk. They completely abandoned the journey. They weren't prepared to face an obstacle with their internal motivation. They weren't prepared to face the obstacle with their finances. They weren't prepared to face the obstacle with the sacrifices necessary to carry on to the next phase. If the journey in your life looks like something is standing in the way of your success, being prepared may not mean you have all the answers. It may be being prepared with the intestinal fortitude to say, I don't know what's coming next, but I'm pressing forward anyway. But that doesn't mean you don't have a backup plan. That doesn't mean you don't look at the obstacle and think, well, how could I get over it, around it, or under it? Or do I just have to plow through? Do I just have to bite the bullet, endure the pain, know this is going to suck for a minute? I am going to have to pick up another part-time job, a third part-time job. I'm going to have to do whatever it takes to continue on the path that I'm going, but I'm not going to give up on the goal. I'm prepared to do whatever it takes. It's a whole nother kind of preparedness. Sometimes it's having about food storage. Sometimes it's about having extra fuel. Sometimes it's about having money in the bank or money that's in a liquid asset that's not in the bank, like, I don't know, gold or silver or something. Sometimes preparedness looks different based on the surroundings that you're in. It's hard to be prepared for a hurricane or a tornado that wasn't on your calendar. It's hard to be prepared for the loss of a loved one that wasn't on your calendar. There's a whole lot of stuff that's going to come up in life that's not on your calendar. You may not have planned for it to happen, but that doesn't mean you can't be prepared for it to happen. And trust me when I say, most of the stuff in life, you're not going to be prepared for every aspect of it, but if mentally and emotionally you are prepared, if you have the intestinal fortitude to say, I know for a fact something's going to happen, something's going to go wrong, something's going to throw me off track, some kind of distraction is going to get in my way, the universe is going to test my resolve to have what I want. It's a fact. It's coming. And if you're not prepared for that mentally and emotionally, nothing else you do to prepare for that is going to be enough. Make preparedness, mental toughness, a core value in your life. And you'll find that the places that you lead and the people that you lead will do the same. I'm J Loren Norris with Leading Leaders Podcast for Tell It Like It Is TV. Have a blessed day. Subscribe now for our extensive video library of leadership lessons promoting faith, family, and freedom.